Welcome to Ginger Media Channel. This is a breaking news that we are bringing to you. Court orders Sowore's release. As you all know, Sowore has been in detention for a very long time, since August 3rd. Justice Taiwo of the Federal High Court in Abuja today, Tuesday, ordered that the convener of Revolution Now protest, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, should be released from the custody of the Department of Security Services immediately. That means with immediate alacrity. The judge said that the activist should be released to his lawyer, Mr. Femi Falana SAN, who is to produce him for arraignment whenever he is required. The judge, however, said since charges had already been filed against the activist, he must deposit his passport, meaning his international passport, and other travel documents to guarantee his availability for trial. The judge had earlier stood down the case after hearing argument from the legal team of Sowore and the DSS. Leading Sowore's lawyers team was Mr. Femi Falana SAN, who noted that the order issued by the court on August 8, 2019, permitting the DSS to hold the activists for 45 days had expired on September the 21st. He urged the court to issue a consequential order releasing the publisher of Sahara Reporters from the custody. But responding, DSS lawyer, who is Mr. G.O. Agbadua, said that since the charges has been filed against the activist on the 20th of September, it was lawful to continue to keep Sowore until his arraignment. But Falana, remember him, Falana, a very maverick lawyer who also represented the legend, the only living African musician legend, Fela Anikbola Kokiti, said, filing of charges cannot metamorphose into a detention order. A citizen cannot be detained. A citizen cannot detain a citizen in anticipation of arraignment. Earlier, Agbadua withdrew DSS application asking for the extension of the period of detention of Sowore for further 20 days. Agbadua requested for the withdrawal of the said application that was based on the fact that charges had been filed against the activists. Falan also withdrew Sowore's application for bail on the ground that the application had become academic since the order of detention had expired. On the grounds of the expiration of the detention order and the withdrawal of DSS request for further detention of Mr. Sowore, Falana urged the court to order his client release. The judge, in his ruling, agreed with Falana by ordering the immediate release of Sowore from the custody. If you all remember, our President Buhari is in the United States in America attending United Nations session. So, Mr. Buhari will be reading this order from all the way in the faraway America. You know, if Buhari was to be in Nigeria, it could be that Buhari could actually force the DSS to detain them. But because he is in a land of democracy and he might be afraid that all other presidents might actually tell him off, or that Trump might actually speak to him and tell him off. So Sowore is likely to come out today. Now, do you know some of the charges that what Sowore was charged against? We saw recently that Sowore was charged for frivolous treason. The federal government accused Sowore of insulting President Muhammadu Buhari. The federal government on last Friday, actually filed 7 counts of treasonable felony and money laundering against the convener of Revolution Now protest, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. Sowore is also the publisher of Sahara Reporters, a presidential candidate in the 2019 presidential election that was held in February. He is charged along with Olawale Bakare, also known as Mandate. The charges were signed on behalf of the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, SAN. If you remember, Abubakar Malami and his team are currently in the United Kingdom over the PID scandalous deal that went sour, where a court in the United Kingdom has already granted the PIB people the access to seize Nigerian assets. As you all know, a chief state counsel in the Department of Public Prosecution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, also who in the name of Aminu Aliyu was the one representing, the Minister of Justice. The charges were filed a day before the expiration of the detention order of the Federal Republic, of the Federal High Court in Abuja, permitting the Department of State Security, the DSS, to keep the activists for 45 days. The detention order elapsed on the 21st of September. In the charges instituted against the defendant, that is Sowore, the prosecution accused Sowore and his co-defendant of committing conspiracy to commit treasonable felony in the breach of Section 516 of the Criminal Code Act, allegedly staging a revolution campaign on September 5, 2019, aimed at removing the president and commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces and Federal Republic of Nigeria. You all recall, the same time they are talking this arrant nonsense and this rubbish in Abuja, Egypt were in the streets marching everywhere calling for revolution. That same last week. Yet, not a single person in Egypt was arraigned or arrested and charged for protesting for a better life. Because when you people know what revolution now is, it's nothing else than people saying our lives must matter. We must change the way things are being done. We must respect the citizens. Let us restructure and change things for the betterment of everybody. The prosecution also accused them of committing actual offense of treasonable felony in breach of Section 4(1)(c) of the Criminal Code Act by using the platform of Coalition for Revolution in August 2019 in Abuja, Lagos, and other parts of Nigeria to stage Revolution Now protest allegedly aimed at removing the president. So, why would Buhari be afraid of being removed? If you remember, Shagari was an elected president, but Muhammadu Buhari was the one who illegally removed him in 1983. Now, people, here is where the caveat is. If anybody ought to be thrown into jail and thrown the keys away, it is Buhari who illegally removed an elected president by coup d'etat. Yet, the same Buhari is your president. Yet, no one is accusing him of no one is saying he's not in prison. The best place Buhari should be, as we speak, should be prison, not the presidency. It is, they also accuse Sowore of cybercrime offenses in violation of Section 224(1)(b) of the Cybercrime Prohibition and Prevention Act by knowingly sending messages by means of press interview granted on Arise TV network, which you knew to be false, for the purposes of causing insult, enmity, hatred, ill will on the person of President of Federal Republic of Nigeria. When you read this, you will think, what sort of banana republic are we running? If there is anybody that ought to be charged with this, it should be Lai Mohammed, because this is a man that has deliberately told lies. If you guys remember, when Atiku went to America, Alhaji Lai Mohammed came to national TV and lied in front of everybody that they have evidences to nail Atiku and put him to jail the moment he returns from Nigeria. That man has a diarrhea mouth. But the moment Atiku came back, voila, no one ever heard of that charges, because Atiku was being accused of being the brain behind the failure of Bank PhD. That federal government has already assembled all the evidences to nail him. We never knew that the man was just telling us lie. Now, in a related vein, Don Jazzy, Adekunle, Gold, Omojuwa, others react to the charges against Omoyele Sowore. Nigerians woke up the same day, that Friday, to the news that the federal government has slammed the fresh 7-count charges against the 10 political activist and convener of the Revolution Now protest, Omoyele Sowore, accusing him of treason and money laundering, cyber stalking of President Muhammadu Buhari. I don't know how he will be cyber stalking President Muhammadu Buhari, who does not even know how to use an iPhone or type messages on his phone. So how can you be stalking someone if you're never online? Reacting to the new development, singer Adekunle Gold tweeted, "I really don't want to believe those fictitious charges against Sowore. Treasonable what? A fucking joke." While Don Jazzy, Don Jazzy, the king of music in Nigeria, said, "This is dangerous president of swifting opposition voices and discerning opinion has survived enough. Let's not pretend our nascent democracy isn't being sabotaged when citizens shudder at the thought of people they elected into power. I plea for Sowore." Omojuwa, I remember Omojuwa. Omojuwa is the one that says he is an entrepreneur. The one that were calling Jonathan all unprintable names. The one that said that Jonathan is nothing but buffoon. The one that called Jonathan all unprintable names. The one that helped in bringing Buhari, that mobilized the youth. Suddenly, he found his voice and he said, If citizens are now being charged for insulting the president, what left of Nigerian democracy? Free Sowore already. This is beyond embarrassing. I don't even remember any previous Nigerian dictator who charged citizens for insulting him, not even Buhari as a military ruler. Now, we will say to Omojuwa, welcome to Nigeria. You are lucky because Jonathan didn't charge you all the time. You are opening your mouth wide open like a third Niger bridge. But now, Buhari does not want anybody to criticize him, and he yanks anyone that talks ill or that talks anything sensible that opposes his view, yanks them in prison. That's why suddenly you are even afraid because you cannot even say anything. Please, Njenje Media will ask you, Omojuwa, can you please say half of those things in Buhari that you have been saying during the time of Jonathan? Just say half of it. Let us see that even that your small head will not be used to clean the streets of Abuja. Once more, this is Njenje Media channel. Subscribe to the channel.